Thanks, Bonnie, for letting me know you hear me fine. Okay, I'm always just amazed when all this stuff works the way it's supposed to work. So it is 8 o'clock, so I'll get started. I want to be really aware of everybody's time today. And thanks for joining us in the evening. I know you've had busy days, and it is good to have a few moments to talk to people virtually. I'm sitting in New York City right now. Out one window is the Empire State Building. Out the other window is Times Square. I love being in New York City all year long, but more importantly, I love being in Barryville, New York at TY during the summertime because I get to spend the summer with 500 to 600 teenagers every summer, which is both wonderful and a bit crazy. So let me get started. My name is David Weinstein. I'm director of Camp Tel Yehudah. And wait 1 second for this little technology thing here. There we go. I'm the director of Tel Yehudah, which is the National Senior Teen Leadership Camp of Young Judea. I'm going to talk a little bit today about Tel Yehudah in general, but I'm going to focus mostly on some of these really very exciting new programs you've been seeing a lot of email about, probably a lot of email about. We're really excited about them. We can't stop telling people about them. So we keep writing to you, and we're going to be blogging about them and putting them on Facebook and Instagram and Twitter and everywhere else where people are, because we really want you to see what we're doing with TY. Some of the people on this call I know have campers, have kids who have been to TY before and are planning on coming back this summer. And some of you are thinking about adding one of our TY intensives, our new second session programs. And some of you are thinking about coming to TY for the very first time. And some of you maybe don't have anything else to watch on TV tonight, and this might be more exciting. So let me tell you a little bit about Tel Yehudah in general. And then I will tell you about our new TY intensives, and I will tell you, try to answer all the questions that were sent in to me in advance. And then during the presentation, if you have some questions, especially towards the end, best to type them in, because that way, we don't hear a lot of background noise on the call. So, Tel Yehudah is a teen community dedicated to fun, friendships, learning, and changing the world. I think what is unique about Tel Yehudah, from all of the other camps that some of your kids have gone to, from all the other communities, is that we're a place. We're really more than a camp. We're a community of just teenagers, of Jewish teenagers. And we have an opportunity in a teen-only environment to create a very different type of experience for teens, where we're taking kids more seriously, giving them more responsibility, expecting some more shenanigans as well, and being able to do some learning and some thinking and some celebrating together, really in a teenage type way. So our mission statement, just so you know, which hasn't changed, even with our new programs. We're going into our 71st summer. What I'm about to read hasn't changed. Camp Tel Yehudah inspires Jewish and Zionist youth from around the world, we'll talk about around the world in a few minutes, to experience and embrace the diversity of the Jewish people. Excuse me, people are writing to me in other places, of the Jewish people in a joyful and diverse community, while training them to become leaders who affect positive change for the Jewish people, Israel, and the world. That's a lot of big stuff there, a lot of big ideas, and I want to just look at them for a moment together. Jewish and Zionist, we are unabashedly Jewish and Zionist. Within that, though, we've got all different kinds of Jewish kids and all different kinds of Zionist kids who come from around the world, who are diverse, not just in their backgrounds and ethnicity and gender and sexual orientation, and also political beliefs and ideological beliefs. And we're able to do something that it seems most adults aren't able to do, which is take very different kinds of people, put them in the same place, and have them create a joyful and diverse community. That in our world today seems to be like a unique thing. And at the same time, while they're having that joyful and diverse community, we're helping them hopefully become the leaders of tomorrow who will affect positive change for all of us, for the Jewish people, for the local communities, and for the larger world. We're very idealistic at Tel Yehudah. I will say that right off the bat. And I've been involved with Tel Yehudah for a very, very long time. I should just say that not only did I go to TY as a kid, I met my wife there, and both of my daughters have been campers and staff members at Tel Yehudah. And for those who went to Sprout Lake, I also went to Sprout Lake. So where is Tel Yehudah? We're in Barryville, New York. which is located on the Delaware River, 150 acres on the Delaware River. We've been in this spot since 1955, and we are in sort of, if you imagine the corner of New York, New Jersey, and Pennsylvania, we're just a few miles up the road from that corner. It is an absolutely bucolic space that sits nestled between the Catskills and the Pocono Mountains. And we have campers who come from around the country, from all of our Young Judea camps, from Camp Young Judea, Texas, from Camp Young Judea in Sprout Lake, Camp Young Judea in the Midwest, in Waupaca, Wisconsin, and Camp Judea in Hendersonville, North Carolina, as well as many kids who did not go to Young Judea camps who are becoming Young Judea kids as they enter TY. But not only do we have kids from around the country, we increasingly have a diverse group of kids from all different backgrounds and around the world. We have a program during our second month called Chavarah, going into its 10th summer, which is a program for campers from the Russian-speaking Jewish community here in the United States, as well as some campers from the community in Israel and from the former Soviet Union. This is a community of kids who, for the most part, have been disconnected from the Jewish people for a long time. And every summer we have 75 to 100 campers in camp. And 3 years ago, we began a partnership with Camp Kimama in Israel. Camp Kimama is an American-style summer camp in Israel. And they get campers from all over Israel, as well as from Europe and some from the United States. And we expect to have at least 30 to 40 campers from Kimama, from Israel, and increasingly from Europe as well. We had kids from Germany, from Italy, from Spain, from England. And that's all during our second month. And that really creates this incredible global community. And so important for our teenagers to see that Jewish life doesn't just exist in LA and in Maplewood, New Jersey, and in Westchester County and Fort Lauderdale, but exists around the world. So traditionally, we run a 4-week program, which is our first session. I know a few people on this call have campers who are already signed up for first session. We love our first session. It's 4 weeks, 4 Shabbatot. We made it longer a couple of years ago, so it just wasn't long enough. And everything we're doing in those 4 weeks is the sort of the stuff we've been doing at Tel Yehudah and Young Judea for generations. We're teaching leadership. We're connecting kids to Israel. We're building Jewish identity. We are building leadership skills. And most importantly, we're doing that, as I said, in this sort of joyful community. Our Alamim program is for campers who are entering the 9th grade. Besides the regular program they have at camp, they also have a 4-day trip up to Niagara Falls called the Alamim Road Trip, an opportunity to do some camping, go to the Grand Canyon of the East, and to go on the Maid of the Mist voyage in Niagara Falls. Just an awesome trip. Our Yachad campers who come from all over the country are entering 10th grade. And in our Yachad program, we're teaching the basics of peer leadership. How do I get up and stand in front of a group and give a talk? How do I teach dancing? How do I plan a program? How do I lead a game? All of those types of things. And then finally, our entering 11th grade program, which is my all-time favorite program, is called the Hadracha Leadership and Activism Institute for entering 11th and 12th graders. And these, this isn't regular camp anymore. These are kids entering 11th and 12th grade. They're going to have their first college visit. They're going to spend 4 days at George Washington University in DC. They're going to visit Congress people. They're going to visit senators. They're going to go to nonprofit organizations. They're going to go to museums. And in all those places they go, which they'll be preparing for 3 weeks, they're going to have an opportunity to choose an issue that's of real importance to them. We call it a tikkun group. It might be domestic violence. It might be Israel. It might be poverty. It might be women's rights. They're going to pick an issue. They're going to learn about that issue. They're going to teach all of camp about the issue. They're going to go to Washington, D.C., and they're going to advocate around that issue on potentially 2 different sides of the issue. We don't even expect our kids to agree. What we expect is for a critical and pluralist conversation around the issues that they're interested in. And then they come back afterwards. They run a big camp-wide program for everybody. And they also lead all of camp in our Maccabiah, our color war. And I will tell you, I've spoken to so many parents, one today who said, my kid wrote their college essay about their Hadracha trip to Washington. It is maybe for many of our kids the first time that they feel they have some power in the world. And obviously in the times we live in now, again, I talked this a little earlier, where we're so polarized, this opportunity for kids to have hope and to feel like they can make a difference, I think, is critical for teenagers. So that's our first session program. I don't want to talk too much about that today because we're really going to focus on our brand new programs. So, but I will, take questions at the end about these programs. And I also want to say off the bat, I'm going to send a link out to all of you to set up a private conversation with me on the phone afterwards, a Calendly link. So you can pick a time, and if you want to talk more about any of these things, or your particular child, or if you're a teenager and want to talk about your parents, we could set up those times over the next few days so you can get some more personal conversation. All right, so let me talk a little bit about the new stuff, which I'm excited about. I think this has been waiting a long time. I've been the director of Tel Yehudah for 11 years now, and this is really the biggest change that we're making. So first of all, why? Why are we changing our second session? Why are we adding what we call TY intensives? For a few reasons. One is we want to do a shorter session. We want to do a 2-week session because we think a lot of kids and a lot of parents would love to have 6 weeks of camp this summer, and would take those first 4 weeks and add 2 weeks onto them. And we'll talk about the intersession in a little while. But 8 weeks is a long time. 8-9 weeks is a long time at camp. So that's one thing. Second thing is our school calendar around the country is so very different in different parts of the country. Kids in the South, kids in parts of the West and the Midwest go back to school already in early August, where the New York kids only get out in late June. And we wanted to have a program that we could end in time that kids from around the country could participate in. But the most important reason is we recognize that while some kids, while some teens really enjoy and need a general camp program like we run during our first session with all a variety of types of activities, we also recognize that many teens and many parents are interested in as well, have very specific interests and passions that they want to explore more, that they want to go deeper. They want to really learn something. They want to develop skills, develop interest, develop passion. In some cases, some of them want to have something to write on those college essays. I should just say I have a high school senior at the moment, so I'm well aware of college essays. It's all that's happening in my house lately, and I'll talk about college essays in a moment. But we want to give an opportunity for all of our teams to explore a little bit deeper, but many of them still want camp. Instead of going to the Yale writing program or traveling across the world, they can still stay at camp and explore those interests. And so we've developed 9 really interesting TY experiences this summer. And in every one of them, we're working with some sort of outside organization, experts, professionals from the United States and from Israel. So we can really bring some deep, meaningful learning to our campers and still give them some of the camp experience. So let me tell you about all 9 of them, and then I'll talk about sort of the structure of the day, how it's going to work. I'll talk about what we call minors, opportunity to explore a little bit deeper into one of the other areas, and then hopefully answer some of the questions that I know have been sent in to me about our TY intensive program. Our first program is called Campsite Photography, Campsite Lens. We're working with a world-renowned photographer. His name is Zion Ozeri. Some of you might have heard from him. If not, you should look him up. He has been spending decades photographing Jewish communities around the world and really looking at communities through that camera lens. This is not just about how do you take a picture. This is about what do you take a picture of? How do you develop content? How do you tell a story through your pictures? And how do you use one of those cameras? A lot of the kids have never seen those camera things. And by the way, we know that their cell phones take great pictures too now, and we're not against that, but we're going to give them a chance to also look at a camera. And and we're going to talk about things like Instagram and what does it mean to not just take a picture of yourself, but actually to tell a story. And how do you do that on whatever platform you're using, whether that's taking a picture and having it printed out, or posting it on Facebook, Instagram, or Snapchat where it magically disappears. But this is really about helping kids become storytellers, helping them create content, and using the lens to do that. It's an artistic endeavor, and we're working with Zion on developing the curriculum for this program, and he'll do a master class with the kids. We'll also go to New York City for a couple of days and do some photography there and work with Zion. And we're really very excited about this. We've been doing a photography trip with our Yachad kids for 4 days to New York, and we're really expanding upon this. And this will be one of the programs that takes place which I'll talk about later, in one of our 5 new art studios that we're currently in the middle of construction with right now. Can somebody tell me if you hear me okay in the chat window? Because I just keep talking. I want to make sure you can hear me. I see you're all still there, so I'm assuming that you can. All right, Andy, Bonnie, you guys have been good about telling me stuff. Okay, there you go. Thanks, David Eisenberg. Thanks, Andy. Thanks, Sharon. You guys are awesome. All right, let me tell you more. I know I speak a little fast. Our second program, continuing the art theme, is called Arts at TY. And this is a program to explore the power of Jewish and Israeli art. And what we're doing here is something sort of a little bit different than we think about an art program. We're thinking about a community art program. What does it mean for a group of teens to come together with some artists and develop something big, really tell a story, make a statement with combining different art mediums to be able to do something in camp, whether that's murals, sculpture, a mix of those things. They're going to work together as a group to use different art mediums. As I said before, we're in the process of building art studios, and I'll show you a little rendering them in a few minutes. But those art studios include a printmaking shop, a jewelry making shop, and a fabric art shop, as well as an existing arts and crafts facility, a ceramic studio, and a place for kids to do painting and other types of visual arts. So bringing these all together, we're going to be sending our entire art staff to Israel in the spring with a grant we just received. Some of them will be Israelis, some of them will be Americans. They'll be in Israel for 7 days together, meeting with different artists and working together to develop a curriculum to come back with for this program. And how do we explore Israel and Jewish identity through art and tell a story in really a big way? Our next program is called Hatzalah, which means sort of rescue in Hebrew. And this is an opportunity for campers to gain lifeguarding skills, first aid skills, and rescue training and certification in all of those things. They will receive their American Red Cross lifeguarding certificate, their wilderness first aid certificate, as well as a CPR, AED certification. And you need to be 16 to be in this program. We had campers who do our lifeguarding program a couple of years ago. And 2 days after they left, 2 of these kids were in a restaurant in South Florida, and they saved a woman's life who was choking. It's really, amazing things can happen. And this program is going to be led, we're 99% sure of this now, by a guy who went to Tel Yehudah, grew up there, and has gone on to do, he blows my mind all the time on Facebook during what was going on in Standing Rock. He was an EMT there for weeks. I don't know if you remember the story, but in those freezing temperatures, and again, you might be on different sides as politically, but he felt like his activism was being there with the protesters and making sure they had first aid. And he was there in the absolutely freezing cold as things were getting tenser and tenser. The last few weeks I've had a hard time reaching him because during the wildfires in California, he was out there, of course, once again, saving lives during the wildfire. Anyway, he feels like everything he learned from TY, this sort of this notion that you have to go out and change the world, but you need to do it with some skills and not just be able to be on Facebook and advocate for something or tweet about it. So we're going to have an opportunity to really go in depth and give kids some real life skills, and including some rescue skills. And obviously with the news of the last couple of months with hurricanes, etc., helping kids be prepared for dangerous situations, as well as potentially when they're older, being willing to go in there and help out. This guy, Josh Korb, who I love so much, is riding around on an ambulance. And as soon as I get him off the ambulance for a few minutes, we're gonna lock him in for this summer. But this is gonna be an amazing opportunity for kids to learn skills they're not gonna get anywhere else. Our next program, we're working with an organization called Rightopia Lab, which is a New York City-based organization that has a really innovative approach to helping kids become better writers. And again, just like everything in camp, it's about collaboration. It's about the group. So kids will have an opportunity to really develop some original pieces of writing, fiction, nonfiction, poetry, and memoir, and be able to share those with each other and work with them in developing those those writing pieces throughout the 2 weeks they're together. For campers who are entering 11th and 12th graders, there will be an opportunity for all of the kids to take this as one of the minors, and during that minor, complete and go home with their college essay. So I don't know if there's anybody here who's a parent of a current 11th grader, but I know you would pay $100,000 for that right now. Parents have told me that. They'll pay anything for them to come home with their college essay done and not have to stress about it at home. So if you like that idea, you can send me a message, thumbs up on that one. I wish my daughter had done this last summer instead of the stress we're going through now. Totally coincidentally, the woman who runs the program, I swear this is a coincidence, happened to have gone to Tel Yehudah. And a friend of mine had been working with her for years and didn't know that. And we found out, and she said, everything I learned when I started this program in New York, she works with kids of all different backgrounds. Oh, a college freshman just said it's awesome. Thank you, Bonnie. Everything that she said she learned instruction this Rightopia Lab program in New York City, she said she learned at camp. How do you, again, give kids an opportunity to collaborate and create the conditions for them to do that? Our next program is called TY Extreme Outdoors. And these kids won't be in camp very much. This is an opportunity for our kids to get out of camp and do some really exciting extreme things in New York State and Pennsylvania. As I said, we're right on the Delaware River. Our campers are going to spend 6 days out of camp, actually going to spend 2 days hiking out of camp together, build a community in the first couple of days of camp. Then they're going to go on a 6-day expedition. It's going to include a few days out on the river and camping along the river, a few days of biking in upstate New York, and some more extreme hiking, including some snappling, using ropes, using staples to get up and down large hills. And then they'll come back and they'll participate in the last couple of days at camp. For those of you who've had campers in camp before, this is sort of a combination of all of our Yachad trips that we offer, but an extreme version of them. And really excited about this. Our next program is called Alternative Summer Break, or Repair the World. We're working with this amazing organization called Repair the World. Probably many of you have heard of them. They might be in your community. And Repair the World really, really works with all different communities in developing within the Jewish community a sense of commitment to social justice, as well as social action. And in our Alternative Summer Break program, which is a follow-up to Young Judea's Alternative Winter Break program, our campers will be living at camp most of the time, but they'll be out of camp a good chunk of the time, volunteering in the local community, in local food banks, doing some cleanup on the river, doing some development of local parks, as well as spending a couple days in Brooklyn doing some volunteering as well. We'll have a couple of fellows from Repair the World. They spend a year working with Repair the World during the year, who'll be developing the curriculum, and it'll also be running the educational programs, understanding the issues around social justice, the environment, et cetera, that sort of lead to the volunteering that they're doing. Hamamah is our Advanced Leadership Institute. This is for campers who are entering 11th and 12th grade. This is a real hands-on leadership opportunity. They're going for those 2 weeks to learn how to be a camp leader. They're going to have a mentoring camp. They're going to do an internship in a different part of camp. They might want to do an internship in sports or an internship in drama or dance, or with a madriach, with a counselor, and really learn those skills, help to lead our Maccabi Out program, our color war, as well as take other leadership opportunities during camp with younger kids. Participants in this program, when they go back and become counselors in one of our other Young Judea camps or back at Tel Yehudah, are going to get a $250 bonus from Tel Yehudah because we really want to incentivize them to actually go back and work with kids. We know that being a camp counselor is the very, very best opportunity to build lifetime leadership skills. TY Music Studio, we are investing in a very small, this first year, music studio at Tel Yehudah. We have an amazing music specialist who's been with us for 27 years, Israeli, who in his real life outside of camp does music recording and music production. We have this amazing singer-songwriter, guitar player on our staff, Noah Wilker, who's our operations director by day, rock star by night. We have some other musicians as well. We're going to be working with a group of kids, singers, musicians, wannabe music recording engineers to produce some original music this summer. In those 2 weeks, they will have produced a number of new original songs or retakes on old classic Israeli songs, and we're going to get those out into the world. And Krav Maga. Krav Maga, for those you don't know, is a self-defense system developed by the Israel Defense Forces. It is an opportunity to learn self-defense techniques. And those Krav Maga students will be led by Yulia Sakchova. She is an Israeli 3-time European kickboxing champion. So you're all confused now. Why is a kickboxing champion going to teach the Krav Maga program? Because Krav Maga is not an international sport yet. So she's also an expert in Krav Maga. And she's from the Russian-speaking community in Israel. And she's going to have an opportunity to be with us for a couple weeks, really to increase their physical fitness levels, develop tactics for practical personal defense, and feel, you know, that bit more secure out there in the world that they're in. So those are our 9 new programs. There's a question about what instruments. So we're going to see who's coming. So we will have an opportunity once we know who the campers are to figure out who can help them the most with their instruments. Guitar, drums. If we have kids who already play some, I'm not a musician, so I think they call it wind instruments and things like that. We want to know that in advance and make sure that we can support them so they can be part of the ensemble of kids who are playing. And also any kids who sing or who want to sing. There'll be a group of kids who will form a chorus that will do some singing and do some lead singing as well. As I said before, we're in the process of building some new art studios, art sheds. You can see them here. These are not real. These are not real people in this. And the flag probably won't sit just there. But this is, we're very excited. The first one is done, and the rest are under construction right now. You can also see in the upper left-hand corner a rendering of a brand new facility called our library and educational center. We're rebuilding a building that existed since the 1850s in a very modern version of it. It's going to be an amazing space for large groups to gather, for small groups to gather. That's air conditioned, that's high tech, where kids can also watch movies together. They can sit and work on their writing together, and they can participate in large group activities. And downstairs will be new offices and new space for all of our staff to work on the educational program. I'll talk a little bit about our staff in a few moments, but they spend a lot of time working on the educational program. So it'll be nice for them to have a place to do that. So what does a day look like for TY intensives? So I'm not going to go through the whole schedule, but essentially they're going to have about 4 to 4.5 hours a day where they'll be spending in their intensive, which, as you can see here, is spelled incorrectly, so somebody will have to change that tomorrow. That says TY intensives. I'll work on that. So 4 to 4.5 hours, starting in the morning with 3 hours in their intensive, then another hour and a half in the afternoon. They'll also have an opportunity, and by the way, the kids who are doing the extreme program won't. They'll be out of camp for most of this, but the rest of the programs. They'll also have an hour to an hour and a half a day of what's called a minor, which they'll sign up for later on. Most of those minors will be the same programs that we've just talked about, but there'll be a few additional ones. There'll be a minor in dance. There'll probably be a sports minor, a few other opportunities to also sort of dabble in something else. As I said before, the writing program will have a minor that's just for entering 11th and 12th graders to work on their memoir/college essay. They'll also have about an hour a day of doing other camp activities. They'll go to the ropes course, they'll go to the pool, they'll go to Shira and Rikud, which is Israeli singing and dancing, and they'll have about an hour of free time a day. And then in the evening, they'll have some fun, generally all camp program, or they'll have a program that's by their age group. And I'll talk about age groups in just a few moments. Shabbat, Saturday looks a little bit different. It's maybe an hour with their intensive, but on Shabbat, we're a camp that is Shomer Shabbat. We keep Shabbat in public, though our kids come from a wide variety of Jewish backgrounds. But we try to create a really special Shabbat experience. So there'll be an opportunity in the morning to join in a minyan. We generally offer 4 to 5 different types of Jewish religious experiences in the morning, from Orthodox to Reform to Conservative to yoga to meditation to study. Interesting, innovative types of things. By the way, I should mention that all these programs will be filled with lots of Israeli kids too, so it's going to be really sort of interesting, exciting to be an international group of kids who are doing these things. And then on Saturday night is sort of our crazy time at camp. We have this wild Israeli dance party, and we have this concert at Saturday night, so the music kids will participate in those. So it's a special day. But the regular days I've described, and on our website I have for each one of the programs put the general schedule of the day. As I said, kids who do the extreme program will be out of camp almost the entire time, but when they're in camp, they'll follow that schedule. There's one other special day. There'll be a Maccabiah, a color war with all the kids towards the end of camp. And there'll also be an opportunity the last day of camp for kids from all the programs to present what they have accomplished during their time at camp. Say a few more words about some other things. Our Havurah program, which I mentioned before, which is our program for campers from the Russian-speaking community, is also taking place simultaneously. Their educational program looks a little bit different than the one of the intensives, but campers who are in Havurah will also participate in the minors program and in many of the evening activities we're doing. So there'll be an opportunity for for kids to meet even more kids while they're in camp. Staff and supervision. I just want to, this is for all of our programs, just to be clear. People always want to hear about our staff. It's one of the things I feel the most blessed is to work with young people from Israel, from the United States, from the UK, increasingly from other parts of the world as well, who are really committed to creating these Jewish experiences. As a father of two daughters who grew up at TY and at Sprout Lake, I can't tell you about how the biggest impact I think on them have been from these young people who are real role models for them about what it means to be a young Jewish person in the world, what it means to be a committed citizen of the world, what it means to be funny, what it means to be passionate, what it means to be intentional in their lives. And so our staff, most of them grew up at camp, and if they didn't grow up at camp, they grew up in the United Kingdom in a similar program with our sister organization, or they grew up in the Israeli Sofim, the Israeli Scouts, which is our sister organization in Israel, where there are other Israelis who bring great skills with them to camp. So it's really a cross of many different types of young Jewish people. They go through 1 to 2 weeks of training before camp begins. That training's in everything from education and programming, but we're training, this summer we're training 30 of our staff in a program called Mental Health First Aid, and helping them really respond to some of the challenges that some of our campers face when they're in camp during the summer. We train them in first aid, regular first aid. We train them in how to respond to all different types of situations with teenagers. We meet and exceed New York State and American Camp Association standards for the ratio of campers, generally about 7 to 1. They're trained, as I said, in adolescent development. All of our intensives have professional instructors who are running them, along with some younger staff that's helping them. And when we have free time is really sort of a misnomer. It's not free, do whatever you want, go wherever you want. Free time means that there are some other activities you can choose from, and also a time to sort of mellow out, hang out, but there's always staff supervision around. We like, for those of you who are basketball fans, we like to call it zone coverage. So there are all different zones in camp and different staff members in those zones to make sure that there's always some type of staff supervision that's available. We have on staff anywhere from 2 to 4 nurses at all times, 24/7 care. We're about 20 minutes from the local hospital and emergency care. We work, as you'll find out if you're going to send your teen to camp this summer, we work with a company that prepackages medication for us. We take this part of what we do incredibly seriously. Happy to talk more about that with anybody. Our head nurse is going on, I think, her 5th summer at camp, really knows the kids, really knows camp. And, it is our primary responsibilities to keep your kids safe. And when they're not, and besides keeping them safe, giving them some food. I know there's concern for a lot of young people. We've really changed camp food from what many of you might know if you were a kid going to camp. It's not all grilled cheese and tomato soup anymore, though that is an important meal, but it's salad bars at every meal. It's a breakfast bar in the morning with yogurt and fruit on it. It's having an option that's low carb for kids and for me, honestly. It's being able to respond to the different dietary needs of more and more of our campers, whether they need a diet that's gluten-free or dairy-free. We're able to accommodate all of those. We just need to know in advance what the needs of your kids are, and we'll make sure that we have we can meet those food needs. Teenagers are hungry. Those of you who have teenagers at home, right, you know they're hungry. So there's always a lot of food at camp. I don't remember when kids have told me that they're hungry after one of our meals. So just a little bit of the sights and sounds of camp. Again, I think the best thing is probably go on our website and look at our YouTube page. We have some amazing videos from camp, but camp is divided into two campuses, Aleph and Bet. This is the Aleph camp. It's our older side of camp. These bunks are not fancy, but they are really utilitarian. They've lasted the test of time. They have bathrooms in the bunks. They don't have air conditioning. Some of them have showers, some don't. There are shower houses for the boys and for the girls. It's part of the tradition of camp on Friday afternoon, getting in line to get your shower before Shabbat. But they're also really comfortable. Our Bet side, and by the way, our Aleph side is where the intensives will be. Our Bet side is during first session where our oldest campers are housed. There's a newer part of camp. These bunks do have showers in them. Still no air conditioning though. Excuse me. Just so you can get a little bit of a view of what camp looks like. This again is the Aleph side of camp. You're playing in the sand pit volleyball. We built just 10 years ago this state-of-the-art aquatic center, place for kids to chill out, cool off, slides, zero gravity entry, I think that's the term, entry pool, water polo, deep diving section of the pool. That's where the lifeguard training obviously will take place. We have a challenge course, including this climbing wall, zip line, and other elements. So that's a little bit, I think, again, better look at our website and our videos to get a real sort of picturesque view of camp. So hopefully you're out there and you're saying, I'd love to send my teen to camp, or if you're a teen, I'd like to get to camp. If you're traveling to Tel Yehudah this summer, we have kids coming from all over the country and all over the world. So we do have quite a system in place for picking up kids at the airport when they fly in and dropping them back at the airport. All that is information we would send to you well in advance. We do provide travel subsidies for campers who are flying in who also need tuition assistance. And that information we can send you if you need that. We run buses from the airport to the airport, meaning Newark Liberty Airport, to Tel Yehudah. We also have campers who live in the metropolitan New York area who want to drop their kids at the airport. They can do that as well. And of course, people can drop off their teens up at camp. We drive them up and drop them off there. The past couple of years, we've also started running a bus during first session from suburban Maryland. If anybody's from that area, we're hoping to do that again this summer. And spreading the word. You know, if you're planning on coming, we'd love you to tell others, and we want to help you tell others. So if you're interested in me coming out to your area and doing, me or one of our staff members coming to your area and doing an in-person parlor meeting, and you want to invite some friends, or if you want to just spread the word, we do try to help parents by offering $250 for everybody they get to come to camp who hasn't been to one of our Young Judea camps in the past. This is a great way for some campers, for some families, to reduce the cost of camp, because we know camp is expensive. So let's talk about tuition, which probably everybody was wondering about. So our first session programs, June 20th through July 18th, 4 weeks. These programs, the tuition is $5,000. For campers who are in the Hadracha programs, an additional $200 for the trip to New York City. I'm sorry, trip to Washington, D.C. And our Yachad campers, they have a choice of 5 trips, backpacking, biking, kayaking, and a couple of trips to New York City. There's additional cost for some of those trips. Our intensives are much more reasonable. Those are mostly $2,500. A few of those programs are a little bit more because we're bringing in some very expensive outside expertise. So our Extreme program and our Rightopia program and our Krav Maga program have some additional costs. All of those costs again are on our website. If you are coming for the first session and staying for the second session, staying for the intensives, there is an additional $500 discount. And there's a $200 discount if you register for these intensives before December 20th. So that means if you're already doing first session, you add one of these programs before December 20th, the program's only $1,800, which is not bad for 2 weeks in the world we live in today. So that's a great deal. Happy to talk to you more about it. If you've got more than one kid at home, it's $200 discount for each additional child. As I said, $250 discount for campers who refer other campers to come. And we do have tuition assistance and travel assistance available. We'll actually be sending something out the next couple of days about tuition assistance. Last year, we gave out close to $200,000 in tuition assistance. We have amazing partners at Hadassah who continue to help us with that. We have amazing donors and friends at TY who continue to help us with that. And every year, we're out there raising. Big part of my job is to make sure that no camper is turned away because of finances. So if you are in need of tuition assistance, there'll be information available to you. And if you are in the position to help another camper with tuition assistance, let me know. I'd love to take that help. And if your teen has never been to a Jewish summer camp before, which I don't think is true of the people on this call, but it might be of your friends, there is up to $1,000 off with our One Happy Camper program, which information about that is also available on our website. You can find us in all these places, on Facebook, on Instagram, Twitter, on our website. Many of you are going to start getting weekly blogs from us. We're blogging about all types of different topics related to raising Jewish teens. So open those up and read them. I just wrote a new one yesterday. It just went out in the mail about career guidance for teens. Tel Yehudah is really a place where we understand Jewish teens. And we want to share that understanding not just during the summer, but with you all year long. And as I said, I find that YouTube's the best place to go to find out more because you can watch what's going on at camp. And I would suggest taking a look at some of our highlight reels, especially our first session highlight reel from last summer. So some final thoughts from a camper. Tel Yehudah is by far the most amazing community I've ever been a part of. Whether it's your first time coming to camp, you've been to a junior camp before, or you've been to TY before, within the first day, it immediately begins to feel like a home away from home. I can't tell you who this is from because it feels like it's from every one of our campers who feel like, wow, this is my place in the world. This is my teen-only community. And it's different than being at home, and it's different than going to a junior camp. It is a place for teens, and they really feel like they own the place. So don't forget, early bird discounts end on December 20th. So you get a deal on that. I will tell you, if you're on the call right now and you want to sign up for first session and want an early bird discount, shoot me an email and I'll throw you those $200 also, because I feel like you made it out tonight on a rainy night to hear about this. Rainy in New York. Our phone number's here. I don't know if you can read it. Our email address, our Facebook page, our website, all of it's on our website. I'm also going to send a follow-up email with all of this information, and I'm going to send you a link if you want to schedule a time to speak to me directly. I'm going to try to answer a few of the questions that I received before the open house began. So thank you all for sending those in. I hope I get to all of them. I was having a little technical difficulty loading those questions back up for this. Somebody asked me how the ages are going to be divided. That's an amazing question, because for the first time we have programs that are for different age groups at the same time. And so there's sort of two ways those programs are divided. They're going to live in bunks according to their age groups, or as close as possible, depending on how those things divide up. But we know that, 11th graders don't always want to live with 8th graders or 9th graders, so we're going to divide them that way. And they'll sometimes be involved in activities with campers in their age group. The programs, however, are multi-age groups. A few of them are only open to older kids, like Hamama and Hatzalah. And our Rightopia program is only open to campers currently in 9th grade and above, not 8th grade. And the rest of the programs are open to all of our campers. So it is a wide variety in age group. And I think it's valuable for kids to both be able to be with kids their age and also to be able to be with kids who share some of their same passions. I received a question about what happens to kids between the 6 days. And why do you have 6 days between the sessions? Honestly, I wish we didn't have 6 days between the sessions. We end camp on a Wednesday and start again on a Tuesday. That Sunday between the sessions is the Jewish holiday of Tisha B'Av. which is, as many of you probably know, sort of the darkest day in Jewish history. It's not a wonderful day for camp activities. And it's not a wonderful day for sort of having a first day of camp or a last day of camp. And we take the day very seriously. So we decided we don't want to start that Sunday or even the day after it. So we're starting a few days later so we can be really ready. We're going to offer once again a intercession program this summer where campers who are staying both sessions can stay at Tel Yehudah. And we're going to provide really just a lot of fun things to do, like going to an amusement park and going to the movies and doing some fun stuff around camp. I will say, however, that it's it's going to be on demand. So last summer we had very few campers who wanted to do that, and we did it in the program. I'm hoping this summer we're going to have more campers staying for both sessions and more kids who aren't from the New York area, and we're going to be able to have that program have enough kids in it to make it fun. So we're working on that. And I received a question about our art program, like what kind of art are the kids going to do? And I have to say again, as sort of not the resident artist here, working with this amazing young man. His name's Idan Fitterman. He's a graduate of Tel Institute in Jerusalem, and his partner, who's running our photography program, also a graduate of Tel Institute, both photography majors there. And Idan has been running our art program for the last 3 summers at Tel Yehudah. He's an Israeli who happened to have come to TY as a kid. And he wrote me a long piece about his vision of art at camp, and it's esoteric. And I'm trying to nail him down to make it a little bit less esoteric. But I'll just read a tiny bit of it, and I think I'll just send this out. His proposition he sent to us. But really, what he says is, seeing how the community is one of our highest priorities at Tel Yehudah, we'd like to challenge our artistic teens and ask them to join along with those sitting across from them. He's Israeli, and let the barriers of their dreams come down. Coming together as an artistic community allows us to dream bigger and make our voice heard even louder. Hanging our artwork on a few walls inside an air-conditioned room doesn't represent the real nature of our art. Art can be loud, it can be shocking and overwhelming. It has the potential to provoke and spark meaningful conversation. We have been practicing the idea of tikkun olam, repairing the world in Tel Yehudah, for many years, talking about many ways in which we can be proactive and influential. It's time to let our art participate in the conversation, spreading our message all around the public areas of camp, building great sculptures in the middle of our fields, painting new murals, we'll see about that, to represent the teens of a new era, and possibly heading out of camp and into the public space, bringing sort of a mindset out into the world, into the real world. So again, we're going to have a wide variety of mediums for kids to work in, but the goal is how do they work in different mediums, but work together to create artistic pieces that really represent themselves as teens and that bring Jewish identity into it and bring connection to Israel into them. I know that doesn't answer the very specifics on there, but I'm going to get more information on that for you as well. Is there going to be a charge for intercession? I was just asked. There is a $200 charge for intercession if you're doing both sessions. If you don't play an instrument or sing, can you enjoy mixing music? That's a great question. If you're someone who would be really interested in doing some music production, learning how to be on the other end of it, there'll be an opportunity to do that as well. Somebody asked me where the garden at camp is located. There is a garden at camp. It's located on the olive side of camp. For those of you who might know Tel Yehudah, it's closer to sort of the middle of camp before you go into the Bet side. And once again, we plan on having a garden in camp that will be in use both sessions of camp. So let me stop there. If people have any additional questions, you want to, put them on the chat thing right now. I'm happy to read them and answer them. If not, I'm going to say goodnight in a moment, and I'm going to send out a follow-up email to all of you. And there will be some contact information. And also, if you want to schedule a time to speak to me in the next few days, you'll have there's a sign up for that, this Calendly program, which is awesome. Show you my open times, and I can give you a call for 15 or 30 minutes or an hour. I hope you're interested. I hope you find this exciting. I would love your feedback on the programs. I'd love your feedback on this virtual open house, if you got what you needed out of it. If you didn't, let me know. And otherwise, I don't see anybody else writing anything. So, oh wait, somebody just wrote something. Photography minor. Can you do it as a minor if the group is out in New York City? You can do the photography minor, but when they go to New York City for those 2 days, we'll find something else for you to do. Okay, I have been recording this, which I hope it actually worked. Because last time I tried it didn't work. So there will be a recording and it'll be available. And if you know somebody who's interested in getting that recording, please let me know. And again, thank you so much for taking some of your time this evening and hearing about our programs. Like I said, we're just incredibly excited to be able to run these programs. And we hope you or your kids will join us. So thank you so much and have a good rest of the evening. Good night.